Why hello! If you've seen my Sims Iceberg video, you'll know I'm a really big fan of the Sims franchise. Now, however, I also had a DS as a kid. One day I was at the flea market with my mom when I spotted a stand with a bunch of DS games, and there it was, MySims Party. I remember absolutely grinding that game at like 1 AM multiple days in a row when I was like 12 or something. And since I'm in a particularly nostalgic mood these days, I downloaded an emulator and I got to work. This menu music. So many memories. I started off by making my sim before meeting Tim, who leads me to my house and tells me he will be back tomorrow morning to introduce me to the festivals. Good to know I don't have a choice in this game either. Tim knocks at my house in the morning and leads me to the festival building where I get to meet Emmy and Mitch, who both take care of organizing the festivals. I name my town and it's then time to take part in the opening festival. The first minigame, Bus Stop, which I would prefer to call Smash Your Controller's Buttons, truly makes me realize how much I suck at that, though I managed to finish in second place. The second one, Gone Fishing, is pretty much the same thing, except I only have to smash A when I catch a fish. I got third on that, I don't want to talk about it. The third and last minigame is Soccer Bounce, where you have to press the right buttons that pop up on your screen so you can bounce the soccer ball on your Sim's head. I win that minigame, which somehow lets me win the festival. After that, Mayor Rosalind comes to talk to me and explains what everything in my house is used for. She leaves, and that's where I decided to stop for today. On day 2, I started by visiting the new residents who arrived in town. I swear to God, this game keeps on giving more Animal Crossing vibes by the second at this point. I first met Dolly, who owns a clothing store, then Vic, who owns the shop selling festival cards, Ewan, the town's police officer, and Tyler, who I think also owns a clothing store. Sophie who sells things for my house and who's also very sleepy. Then Joseph, who we've already met from the fishing minigame, Gino the chef, and Buddy the bellhop of the hotel and also the only employee there. There's also Poppy the florist, Tim's grandma, and Olivia, who sells home furniture. After meeting all the new people, I went ahead and played the Happy Festival, which I lost at first. This will kind of be a running trend where I need to play Festival twice before actually winning it. I remember this also being the case when I was younger, so hold on, let me just... Alright, let me explain the new minigames now. First stop is Sleeping Sophie. We have to blow a balloon until it explodes to wake up Sophie. I won that one the second time because I'm just that cool, really. Then it's Gone Fishing again. Then it's time for Tyler's minigame, Clothing Cutout, where I pretty much just trace the outline of clothing with my mouse to cut the fabric. And I also need to be careful since if I trace outside the lines too much, Tyler pretty much yells at me and makes me lose a few seconds on the timer. The last one is Poppy's, where I need to assemble bouquet as quickly as possible to gain the most points. This minigame is actually one of my favorites, not gonna lie. Anyway, I win that one, which lets me win the festival, and seeing as how there are new townies after, I go straight ahead to do the Pretty Festival. This one is actually in teams of 2, surprisingly, so I chose Rosalind for my first attempt, which, yeah, as you can see, it's the first attempt for a reason. Next attempt, I chose Vic. From what I remember, the Pretty Festival is just really the same minigames as before, minus one of them. First was OK Bouquet, then Sleeping Sophie, and Soccer Bounce. It's then time for the new one, Hidden Treasures, where you need to lift up boxes in the storage of Olivia's shop to find treasures under them. The first one who gets the 5 treasures wins. And this is where you realize that I actually lied and there's 2 new minigames in the last one being Fashion Mogul, aka Dolly's minigame. It's really similar to Tyler's, where you need to trace out a shape on a piece of clothing to give it a design, and Dolly eventually yells at you if you send in a design that's not traced well enough. I then win the Pretty Festival and clocked out for that day. Like on day 2, I started by meeting some new people in the town. DJ Candy, Nicole, who owns another clothing store. They really like their fashion, I guess. Odin, who, if I had to guess, probably plays in a band. Then there's King Roland and... Dude, hold on, what do you mean king? Why do we have a king? Then I go see Emmy to play the next festival, the Music Festival. This one is hosted by Candy. Its particularity, along with being in teams of 2, is that you can eventually win a card. The way it works is that 2 teams will be put in, well, 1 team, and you'll play a minigame. The winning teams win a card each. Honestly, I'm explaining this like it's the coolest thing ever, but it really isn't. The new minigames are Clap Happy, where you have to clap in rhythm with 2 buttons when Nicole strikes a pose on stage. and an air guitar, which is where I kinda get stuff here. This game sometimes uses the microphone mechanic of the DS, asking you to blow in the microphone for 1 or 2 minigames. I hadn't set up the microphone options for my my emulator though, because take a wild guess. Yep, you guessed right, I forgot. Otherwise, still, I was already in the lead, so even though I lost that minigame, I still won the festival. And I mean, come on, it's 1 minigame. How bad could it be? The last 2 minigame is my Mix Masters, aka Candy's minigame, which is kind of similar to the last one, except use the stylus, my mouse. This time around, I just press on the right buttons at the right time to keep the characters dancing. Alright, well that's Monkey Festival finished. Which one is next? Oh no, oh good god. The Bizarre Festival is Dr. F's Festival. I hate this one. This one also has a few new minigames, so buckle the hell up. First up is Spotlight Please, where you just have to keep your cursor, aka the light, on Trevor as long as possible. This one is a little straightforward, not gonna lie. Next up was Air Guitar Start again, which is where it got really complicated. I obviously lost that one. The one after that is Sudsy Silent, where you have to shampoo someone's hair. Dang, they really like their stylist minigames. I also lost that one simply because I suck ass as it would appear. Now this is where it got really bad. Skull Finder is Vincent's minigame. So far, nothing too bad. I mean, the goal is simply to get a fossil out of the ground. Until you realize that after a while, the game forces you to blow away the pieces of dirt on the fossil and locks you from doing anything else until you've actually blown away the dirt. Now, obviously my microphone wasn't working, no matter what I did. By the way, I played around with settings a whole bunch, so I lost on one too. The next new one is Mallet Melee, which is Vic's minigame. Oddly enough, they put his minigame kind of late into the game. That's fine though. His is literally the fighting game. Girl, Lily, where are you? Yeah, evidently I'm not just bad at Tekken, but every fighting game, so there I go. The next and last one is Chemistry Calamity, which is really just making weird potions by mixing colors and then mixing the bottle. Now, I can't tell if I'm just bad or if the game started hating me, but no matter what when I was mixing the final concoction, no matter how I did it, it would blow up on me. Though I still won, so woohoo! That wasn't even enough to win the festival, though. Now cue a long hour and a half of me retrying the festival and messing with the emulator's microphone settings, just to eventually relaunch the emulator. And it starts working. I swear y'all, I seriously wanted to throw hands and give up on the video at this point. Anyway, I can finally say goodbye to the Bizarre Festival and head over to the Delicious Festival. Seriously, fuck you, Dr. F. This one is hosted by Charlie, one of the few people in town who owns yet another restaurant. Seriously, either they ran out of inspo or something. The first new one is Sushi Scramble, where I receive orders from people and I had to press the according button to give them the right sushi. Now see, I forgot to the main mechanic like an idiot is that you also have to spin your character on the 3 different sides to serve everyone at first. I still won though, so no biggie. Next was Roxy's. Oh my god, is she a bee? You guessed it. New Tony with a restaurant. Though hers serves ice cream, so you know, it's a little more original. Well, it's led. I wish I was lying, but this one is so simple it made it fun. You just need to go back and forth between your customer and the ice cream machines to hand them the right ice cream. The only issue is when you run into one of your contestants, but honestly you can literally just push them aside, so it's whatever, honestly. The next minigame is Chino's called Spaghetti Spinoff, which is another one I think just hates me, not gonna lie. The objective is to spin your fork using the stylus to get noodles on your fork, and then pressing a button to take the bite. The first one who's finished their plate wins. Though, look at this, am I not doing the right thing? Anyway, I lost that one and I have a new character on my fuck you list now. The last new one for this one is Pastry Puzzle, where you just simply have to fit people's cake orders into a box. I really like the more chill minigames like this one, to be honest. I won that one because I'm goated, and this means I won the festival. Hey, would you look at that? We're halfway through.
To prove it's the galaxy's greatest shake, here's Phil from the Crab Nebula. So, Phil, is it?
The first festival for today is the Speed Festival, which is hosted by Ewan. This one is in teams of 3. This festival is also related to speed style of your Sims, though I'm gonna be 100% for real, and I put my opponents on weak difficulty every time, so it didn't even matter. The first new minigame is Hang Gliding Hurricane, hosted by Mary. Pretty much it's a race where you use the blow mechanic to go faster, and you also dodge hurricanes since they make you lose time. Honestly, these new minigames are getting a little too easy, so I won that first try. Next is Buddy's minigame, Room Service. The concept is to deliver the meals residents of the hotel ordered to the right room. Now listen, I don't complain about controls often in games because I'm normally able to adapt rather well, but seriously, look at this dude. How the hell am I supposed to even do anything? I'm not sure if it's because of playing on an Xbox controller since I'm emulating the game, but the case remains that this was literally hell on earth, so I lost. Next is Ashley's called Pretty Pottery. You need to look at the map on the top screen to bring the flowers to the right spot. The player who puts the most flowers items wins. Next up is Martin's Name Plane Pop. You're simply directing a plane and your objective is to pop the balloons on your way. Each one gives more points depending on the color. There's also a bar on the side that fills up with time to defend yourself against the eagles in your path. And you can also use it to get in front of the other planes. This is one of the cooler ones. This is one's called Catch the Crook. Pretty much, you need to run after a criminal who robbed a place, and you jumped over rocks and other obstacles as the criminal drops items behind them. At the end of the chase, whoever caught the most items wins. And that's all for the Speed Festival. This time around, I didn't really care about meeting everyone new and just headed straight to the new festival, which is right up my alley considering it's the horror festival, hosted by... they called him Goth Boy. First minigame this time around is Almira's called Hush Hush Library Rush. Now say that 5 times quickly. The objective is to run around the library with your broom and clean the floor. However, Almira eventually comes to out you if she hears you running. Whoever sleeps the floor the most once the timer ends wins. Wait, sleeping? Say that again. Next is Zoe's called Crystal Clear. Oddly enough, this one is also about cleaning. You need to pass a cloth over her crystal ball until it is fully clean because she can't see through it otherwise. Poor girl. The last one is my bestie's Violet named Paddle Platform Peril. This one is actually more or less a platformer where you collect flowers that grow on each platform as big ass rocks fall and can eventually stun you for a few seconds. This is one of my favorites, and no, it's not because my favorite character hosts it. The last is Goth Boys. I swear I'm never gonna be able to get used to that stupid ass name. Which dev hated him, bro? Pretty much if you've ever played laser tag, this is the same thing. You're in a haunted house, you need to stun other players with your gun. By the way, honorable mention to literally the single ghost in that haunted house. They must be doing an insanely good job because they said something like, be careful of the ghost before the minigame started. I think we can applaud that ghost for doing such a splendid job of scaring everyone. I do still want to mention that the controls for this minigame were absolutely horrid. It feels like any minigame they try doing in an FPS perspective is just a shitty experience. Pretty much imagine if you had to play Valorant at 5 FPS, and even then 5 is generous, on a public Wi-Fi. Yeah.
Chicken.
We'd like to take a moment to announce that all our food keeps blowing up.
Hey, would you look at that? I've got the drip now. First up today is the Sports Festival. By the way, if you've noticed, these festivals keep getting longer as I go. For example, this one has 14 minigames. We started with 3, for context. It's a pretty cool idea and concept, but it just eventually becomes too much to me. I kind of put myself hoping the next minigame would be one I didn't recognize, so it could be more fun. The later festivals only have the new ones around, I'd say 5 to 7 minigames in, so I always get bored at least a little every festival as you get closer to the final ones. The first minigame is Bumper Boat Battle, and let me get this straight, I fucking hate this one. I couldn't figure out any of the controls at all. I also remember this minigame having the same issue on my DS, so it's not something I'm necessarily surprised about, but god, I hate this one so much. Next is an actually good one, Skating Scamper. Pretty much you're skating, duh, and to accelerate you want to do figures correctly using the stylus to trace a certain shape. Again, stylus equals my mouse. Next is Spouting Safari, which I would honestly just compare to Pokemon Snap. You need to move around the camera and take pictures of the animals who pop up with the A button. A pretty fun one compared to that stupid boat one. The last new one and also final minigame for this festival is Simfu Showdown. It's honestly just another button smash minigame with a little bit more flair to it. Basically, wooden mannequins run around the area and you need to take them down. The attacks you do grant you more points. A is a basic attack, B is another basic attack but slightly stronger, and X is your special attack. Eventually there's a boss fight that starts once all the smaller mannequins are defeated. It's just another huge mannequin that can stun you a bunch. Honestly, just spam it with attacks and it goes down eventually. And with that, it's all done for the Sports Festival. This one I found so incredibly boring that when I saw the next one was the Dynamic Festival and looked to be more on the cute and fun side of the minigames, I got really excited. First up is Fortune Finders. You need to dig around and hope to god that you dig up a gem. Each type of gem gets you points, and whoever has the most of them by the end of the timer wins. Next is Signal Search. Honestly, this one is quite fun. Basically, this guy wants to tell you about his new phone, but the signal being bad, you need to walk around the room to find a spot with a better signal so he can continue yapping to you about his phone. Lastly, we have Fashion Reaction. This one I would compare to Fashion Famous for all the real ones in here who know what that is. Elizabeth will give you an outfit to put on, and once you're done, you click a button and she'll agree or disagree depending on if you put the right items. The first one who manages to have her agree 3 times wins. And that's already it for the Dynamic Festival. Like I said, these later festivals get boring easily and fast. Like last times, the first step of this day is to visit the new townies. There's Emma, dealer at a casino. Why are we promoting gambling to kids all of a sudden? There's Ginny the Pirate. I swear, dude, if y'all didn't have inspo for characters, you could have just scratched some. I promise we would still enjoyed the game. Then the last one is Hawk, who's the other dealer of the casino. Again, why are we promoting gambling? It's giving 90% of gamblers quit before they win big or something. Now it's time for the Before Last Festival, which is the Dream Festival hosted by Ginny. Since there were only 3 new people in the town this time as well, there are only 4 new minigames, which are the last new ones of the whole game. First is Emma's Perfect Slot Jackpot. Basically, it's like those casino machines where you pull the lever on the left and hope you get 3 of the same emblem. Except for the minigame, you press A, B, and Y to get one of the emblems to stop. Honestly, I don't like this one either. Next! Rosalind's is called Pass and Check. The concept is to make sure the sheet of paper you have matches the one on top. If it doesn't, you send it away. Honestly, this was a really fun one, I can't lie. For Hawks, we have Shuffle Cup. You've most definitely seen this type of game before where you put a ball below a cup with a bunch of other ones and then shuffle the cups and you try guessing which cup has the ball under it. That is literally the concept of this minigame, except since there are 4 players, it starts with 3 balls, then 2 and then 1 to end up finding a winner. Say you lose at the first round and choose the cup without the ball under, you wouldn't be able to play anymore until the final round. The last one, Keys to Success, is Ginny's. Honestly, this one is pretty original in my opinion. It's rather simple though. You have a chest and a few keys. You select one and then rotate it to see if it fits the chest's keyhole to open it. And you then get more points the more chests you open. And then that's it for the Dream Festival. Instead of simply going back to my house after to sleep for some reason, I end up talking to Rosalind inside the city hall. Pretty much she tells me it's cool I keep winning all the festivals and that the next one will be the final one, and that she'll be hosting it, but is keeping the surprise as to what the theme of it will be. Once I exit the city hall, I get a notification that I now have unlocked every minigame. Oh, and also a new outfit. I'm ready to become a Spinjutsu master now. Was that what it's called? I kind of forgot, y'all. Now it's finally time to see what the final festival is about. It's titled the Customizing Festival and has 20 minigames. Listen, I love this one so much. Basically, as you can guess from the name, you choose all the minigames yourself, which means I can choose all my favorite ones. When I tell you I started ascending when I saw the menu to choose between all the minigames, the ones I chose are Pass and Check, Hush Hush Library Rush, Soft Service, Skull Finder, Okay Bouquet, Keys to Success, Spotlight Please, Fashion Mogul, Crystal Clear, Bus Stop, Clothing Cutout, Pretty Pottery, Gone Fishing, Hidden Treasures, Pastry Puzzle, Shuffle Cup, Fashion Reaction, Spotting Safari, Sushi Scramble, and Pedal Platform Peril. For the ones we covered a little while ago earlier in the video, I'll give you a little reminder about. First is Hidden Treasures, the one where you pick up boxes to find an item under in the back of Violet's shop. First who finds 5 of them wins. Then Clothing Cutout, the one where you cut the patterns of for clothing. Then was Pedal Platform Peril we mentioned earlier, Crystal Clear, and Spotlight Please, which if you remember, you use the stylus to keep the spotlight on Trevor. Then Sushi Scramble, which I still struggle a little on since the position of the buttons isn't the same on my Xbox controller and I kept getting confused. Skull Finder, which I still have PTSD about from the blow mechanic. Okay Bouquet, where you use the stylus to get bouquet orders, which is still my favorite one after all this time by the way. Bus Stop, which if you remember is the smash every button on your controller minigame. Fashion Mogul, the one where you draw the clothing's designs. Pretty Pottery, Gone Fishing, the one where you're fishing and you smash A when a fish bites on the bait. Keys to Success we talked about earlier. Pastry Puzzle, the one in which you fit cake orders inside the box, another one of my favorites. Soft Service, the one where you serve ice cream. Pass and Check, Shuffle Cup. Spotting Safari, Hush Hush Library Rush, the one where you sweep the library's floor. And that's it. We're now done with every festival. I met with Team outside of the building who tells me Rosalind, who somehow celebrated the festival to my house by the way, wants to talk to me. We reach my house, go inside, and they show me my trophy collection which is now fully completed. They then tell me to interact with it, and once I do... And with that, we are done with the game. At least the main quest of all the festivals. The townies can give you quests to do, which is how I got the replica of Violet's dress from my sim, but they are mostly a townie telling you to go see another townie and then you go back to them to get a reward, and I don't feel like running around that much, I'm gonna be honest. Now genuinely, this game was definitely made with children in mind as the target audience. You can tell from how every minigame has a tutorial cinematic play out every time you replay a certain minigame. So yes, it's really simple. Moreover, I always put the opponent's difficulty levels on weak for every festival because honestly, I replayed this game to unlock some childhood memories that are often stuck in the back of my brain, not to grind the hell out. No judgments if that's your thing though. My main issue with the game is how slow it feels sometimes. I mentioned it earlier with the amount of minigames per festival doubling each time, but to give you a quick example, when you start a festival, there's the quick cinematic with small fireworks, the dialogue of introduction from the MC introducing the first minigame, the introduction dialogue of the minigame's host, the menu to choose which sim you want to use in the minigame, the tutorial cinematic, and then you can finally play the minigame. With the last festival having 20 minigames, this just feels like too much. Another example is the town itself. Moving around in it feels like a chore to meet every new townie because of how big it is with the 5 different areas. Moreover, I only figured out that you had to use the B button to run in the town after I went through half the game. Call me stupid, but it's literally never mentioned that it's the button you need to use to do that. So I was stuck walking and wasting a lot of time doing so for a good part of the game. The controls can also be really annoying at times, like I mentioned before. Though I can forgive the game for that more, since it is actually not as bad as it is an issue in 2 or 3 minigames, mostly. It also doesn't feel like you get actual reward for finishing the festivals. With your money, you can only buy clothing, hairstyles, accessories, and stuff to customize the outside of your house, which all eventually repeats themselves a bit and don't seem to have much differences. The minigames can also feel a little repetitive. The best example of this is clothing cutout and fashion mogul being literally the same thing with a different host. However, I did appreciate the characters' designs. They all have a very distinct visual identity, even when it's characters with similar color palettes. For example, Violet and Goth Boy. The art style being kind of chibi-oriented is also a cool change of pace from those of you who play the mainline Sims games. The colors are also vibrant, which normally would give me a headache, but not this time, so yes, I'm biased, but they get points for that. If I had to say my honest final opinion, I'd say this is definitely a game for children and not oriented towards my nostalgic-ass 17-year-old self. It's a fun little game if you don't go into it expecting Elden Ring or Clay Obscura level of quality. The minigames are still fun despite some being clones, and the art style probably appeals to a lot of people. I don't regret replaying the game at all, and it honestly didn't stain the memories I had of it initially, which is something I was scared about. If anything, I'm probably glad I replayed it, honestly. It was a good way for me to kind of reconnect with a part of my childhood I literally forgot for years. By the way, this isn't a joke. I got the idea for this video while talking about nostalgic stuff from our childhoods with my best friend. I had even forgotten the name of the damn game, bro. And fun fact, I still own the game itself IRL. Also, Violet, you absolute queen, I love you. Normally, this is the part of the video where I'd beg you to follow my other socials, but honestly I'm lazy, so I'm just gonna put the ones I'm most active on screen right now. The rest of them can be found in the description. I really enjoyed making this video, and I hope you enjoyed watching it too. Of course, if you have any feedback, the comment section exists just for that. I've really been trying to improve on an editing standpoint, so I'd appreciate any advice you guys have. Alright, I've got a night shift to get to now though. I'm already late probably, so I'll see you in the next one. See ya.